Hey guys, Richard here with Downgrid Survival. So we're back at it again today, and this is a follow-up video to our video, that was close, about our video yesterday that I put out talking about warnings and you know, how sometimes we're able to receive a warning about a impending SHTF event. And you know, we talked a little bit about the tropics and, you know, the hurricanes and storms and things brewing out there. And so today I want to follow up on that video just a little bit and talk about my hurricane plan. So by the end of this video, I will have shared with you, you know, my intentions of what's going to happen should a storm kick up and move this direction. Now, right now down in the tropics, we do have what they have labeled Invest 98, and that is a storm that's brewing. It's quite a ways out. I mean, it's still 7-8 days away, and typically, you know, this is something that we don't pay a lot of attention to yet. We wait a couple more days for it to get closer, then we start paying attention to, hey, what is this thing going to do and how big might it get? But this one so far is sounding a little bit different, and here's why. The conditions are ripe right now for a strong storm development in the Gulf. And even though this thing isn't even anywhere close to the Gulf yet, it hasn't even entered the Caribbean yet. All the computer models over the last 5 runs, and I'll explain that briefly. The National Weather Service runs multiple different computer systems, and each of these computer systems will run every 12 hours with all the data that they have collected, and they give their predictions. And each computer model, you know, comes out with a slightly different prediction. Some has a, you know, will have a storm going this way, some will have the storm going that way, but collectively you look at all the information from all these systems, and then you kind of get an idea of what may or may not transpire. That's why you don't pay attention to these things, you know, 7 or 8 days out. But over the last couple of days, these computer models have all been fairly consistent on what this storm is going to do. And they're all saying it's going to hover real low in the Caribbean, and it's going to make a sharp turn toward the north and enter the Gulf. And from there, right now, all the computer systems are kind of saying that it's going to take another slight right turn and go east, northeast, and cut across Florida. So I have I've got an interest in what's going on with this thing. So I'm going to start paying attention to it now, only because all these computer models are already kind of saying the same thing. Whereas typically what happens is you've got computer models, like I said, going in different directions. So this one bears paying attention to because, you know, things are just ripe for a strong storm. The temperatures out in the Gulf this time of year are really hot. You know, they look at surface temperatures, they look at water temperatures, currents, they consider wind direction and wind flow, and, you know, the jet stream and wind shear and any frontal systems that are dropping down, cold fronts and that sort of thing. And right now everything is lining up for a, you know, somewhat of a perfect storm. It's just nothing there. There's no indication, there's nothing there that would prevent it from developing it into a large hurricane. So that's why this far out it's starting to pique the interest of a lot of people, because yeah, this one's a little different. You know, it's not your typical, you know, storm that wavers and wiggles and wobbles and just goes in different directions before we finally end up what's happening with it. So things could still change, you know. I mean, something could develop and push it in a completely different direction and keep it away from Florida altogether. But that means you folks on, you know, over in Texas, you know, may have something to be concerned with. So keep a close eye on it if you're in the Gulf region. This is one to watch. Now, what is my hurricane plan? Well, here's what we do. And I'm not a native of Florida, okay? So I've only been here about 4 years, but this has been pretty much our plan for the last 4 years. And that is, you know, of course, we keep an eye on the storms, and we make sure we're stocked with, you know, food, water, and all the jazz, right? So we've got what we need. But then in addition to that, we have decisions to make. Depending on the size and the direction of the storm, what will we do? Now, a lot of folks will just hunker down and, you know, batten down the hatches, grab onto something heavy, and just hold on. And if it's a Category 1 or Category 2 storm that is, well, let me say it this way. If it's a Category 1 direct hit for my area, no problem. If it's a Category 2 and it's a direct hit, that's a bigger problem. Now, there's not a big difference between Category 1 and Category 2, Category 3, but there's still that step. There's still a difference. My house was built in 2007, and it's rated for a Category 3 storm. Now, we are about 20 nautical miles from the coast, and as soon as a hurricane blows across land, it immediately starts to weaken, but not in 20 miles, okay? So 20 miles, it's still, you're going to feel it. And knowing that my house is rated for a Category 3 storm, I don't want to push the limits, because often meteorologists are wrong. Look what happened a couple of years ago in Panama City with Hurricane Michael. Hurricane Michael was predicted to be, I'm not sure what the original prediction was a few days out, but it was going to be a small storm. And then over a period of like 24 hours, it jumped up to like a Category 4, and it was too late. People didn't have time to evacuate and get out of the way because they were already experiencing tropical storm conditions. So it was just, it's kind of late. So very few people actually got out of the way. And look the devastation that thing created. And I don't want to find myself in that situation because there's just no reason, right? There's no reason to take a risk. So luckily, we're fortunate enough to where, if we decide that we need to get out of the way, we're just going to get out of the way. I don't understand why some people feel the need to hunker down, like I said, and hold on to their precious things in hopes of riding it out in the bathtub. Because, with a storm like that, there is absolutely nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. You can't even step outside. So if things go terribly wrong and your home or building or whatever shelter you're in starts to come apart, it's not like you can just jump in the car and run down the street and go somewhere else. It's not like you can just run across the street, and try to get to your neighbor's house. It's just impossible at that point. You're just there, and you're subjected to the elements and whatever Mother Nature is throwing at you. But why put yourself in that situation? Okay, I completely understand it. If people can't afford to evacuate, they can't leave. I understand these things, but okay, we're gonna deviate here for just a quick second. You hear the sirens, right? There's a fire truck going down the other direction. And let me ask a question for you. It's a 2-lane road. It's not divided. There's absolutely nowhere to go over here on my right. There's no road. There's no turnoff. There's nothing. So do you still stop, even though there's an emergency vehicle that needs to go past in the other direction? Do you slow down? Do you stop? Do you keep going? My philosophy is there's no place for him to turn. There's no place for him to go. I know he's not going to need to get across the road. He's going to keep going the other direction. I'm going to keep going. I'm not going to hinder traffic or cause a problem here in traffic by slamming on my brakes because there's a fire truck coming in my direction. There's no place for him to go but straight past me. Yet, routinely, everybody just slams on their brakes and stops and pulls to the side of the road, and I don't get it. Anyway, where were we? So I don't see the need to just hold on to precious things. Just get out of the way. Okay, and that's my philosophy. So, understanding what happened with Hurricane Michael, that things jumped up rather quickly and people didn't have time to evacuate, and so my thought is my home's rated Category 3. Let's not push the limits. If it's a Category 1 direct hit, fine. If it's a Category 2 direct hit, or even something bigger, not a direct hit, but it's going to be within a few hundred miles or something, I'm probably going to move out of the way anyway, because there's no reason for me to be here in the event that thing turns last minute and comes in my direction. Because again, I'll be in the same situation where I've got nowhere to go and no time to get there. So that's our plan. If it comes, and right now it is predicted to, we're still 7-8 days out, but right now all the computer models are saying it's going to turn into Florida somewhere here. and all the conditions and all the predictions are that it's going to be a major hurricane, which means a Category 3 or above. That means here in the next couple of days, as things continue to develop, we will start making the decision whether or not we need to get out of the way. So let's say, yep, it's time. We got to get out of the way. What are your plans, Richard? Well, within the next day or two, I'm going to go ahead and call up U-Haul, okay, and make a reservation for a trailer to put behind my truck, because I don't own a separate trailer. So I'll go ahead and put that on reserve, so it's out there, and I can always cancel it if I don't need it. And if this thing does come our direction, then about 3 days out, we will go ahead and grab that trailer, that U-Haul, and start loading it up and get gone. And the reason being, you know, some people wait to the last minute to try to evacuate, but you know, there's 20-something million people or something here in the Florida Peninsula, and you know, there's really only one or two ways out: Interstate 75 and Interstate 95, two major arteries to get you know, off the peninsula and up north. And yeah, traffic is a mess. You just can't do it. So again, having the luxury of being able to cut out a little early if I need to, that's the plan. And we'll just go inland. We'll just go up into Georgia a little ways or something, and hang out for a couple days and let this thing do its thing. Now, what are we taking? What would we pack with us? Well, first and foremost, I'd take some of my prep gear. Of course, our bug out bags, but then we will expand that and take a lot of our other clothing items. Some of our camping gear and, you know, bug out gear and things of that nature we'll take with us. We'll take you know, several weeks worth of freeze-dried food and snacks and that sort of thing with us. Probably throw in some water purification, one of the water purification systems I have. Just take that with us, just so we have it. You know, firearms and ammo, we'll probably remove those, because that's something I'd hate to get scattered around the neighborhood in case our home does come apart. So those will all go with us. You know, one of our battery systems, quite possibly the newest one I have, which was the EcoFlow Delta 2, because it's a nice lightweight system, and you know, I can put that in the truck easily and store it. So something like that would probably go with us. Of course, we take all of our medical supplies and medicines, over-the-counter drugs. We have pets, so pets will go into crates, and you know, we'll take all their food and water and you know, things to care for them. All that will go with us, and yeah, you know, those kind of things. We've got a list. We developed a list quite some time ago, and just kind of jotted it down on a Word document so we could pull it up and refer to it when we needed to pack up and go, so that we don't forget something. Because, you know, once the decision is made, then, you know, I won't say panic sets in, but then things start to get a little more exciting, and then you start forgetting things. You start forgetting to do certain things to prep your home, and we don't want to be in that situation. So we've got a pretty good list going of the things that we need to pack, the things that we need to do, and we'll just follow that checklist, and when we're done, we'll just pack up and go hang out somewhere for for a few days or a week or whatever it may turn out to be. So that's my hurricane plan. And as a prepper, you know, we always try to plan for every scenario, and that's just one of them that we do. Oh, another one, just thought of it, I'll share that with you too. You know, things for the truck, be able to take care of the truck, bag of tools, my floor jack, my tire repair kit, things of that will go with me as well. In the event that things get destroyed here pretty good, my wife will probably stay wherever it is that we end up, and I'll be the one coming back down to survey damage, take photos, collect what I can, do that sort of thing. And certainly at that point, then things like the camping gear I told you about is going to come into play that will go with us. The tire repair kits, you know, the floor jack to easily jack up my truck to, you know, fix a tire or a flat or change a tire if necessary. Those are all the kind of things that will definitely go with us. But that's our plan. Hey, I'm here at Costco because I need gas. I allow my gas tank to get lower than what I care for. So I'm going to grab some gas, got to go across town, unfortunately, and run an errand over there. So that's where I'm headed. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what your hurricane plans are if you're somewhere in the coastal area of the Southeast. And if you think of anything that maybe I should do or plan for that you want to comment on, please drop it below, and I would appreciate that. And in the meantime, I will see you in the next one.